We'll begin shortly. I'm just trying to get it streaming. It's 18:36 on August 1st. I'll call this meeting to order. Councilmember Yarborough, Councilmember Rodriguez, Councilmember Cornelison, Councilmember Pappenfuss, present. City Attorney, present. Councilmember Williams, and Mayor McGehee, not present. If you would, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. This time we'll move into the public comment section. Louis Barba.
Good evening, council. Thanks for the job you guys are doing. Appreciate it. I'm here to speak about the traffic. I noticed that I live in Star Ranch, and I noticed a lot of people posting on the website how the traffic has gotten very aggressive on 2331 and 171. And what I have noticed, it seems like when the traffic gets close to town, I'd say about 80% of the people slow down, but there's that 20% that just comes zooming through. And it's especially bad on 2331. There's a lot of people that are just tailgating, and that kind of situation causes, the road rage that we hear about all the time. I don't know if we have the manpower to increase, patrol. But one of the things that I've been thinking about, a suggestion, I don't know if it's legal, but the cameras that they use when you go through a toll road, they're excellent at catching people's tags and then sending people the bill. Can something like that be used to monitor the speed of traffic on these roads and automatically issue citations for speeding? That's the only thing that I was wanting to ask, because like I said, it's obviously this town is growing, and there's more and more people, and it seems to be getting more and more aggressive. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Thank you, Mr. Barbo.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak that didn't sign up?
I just want to give you something. I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I heard the names called out for the 4B board, and they're incorrect. This is the current 4B board for you to consider that are still in effect until y'all do something about it.
Okay, thank you. It is 1840. We'll close public comment and go into our consent agenda. Police Department.
Good evening, council. For the month of July, we had 220 stops with 271 total violations. Accidents, we had 9 accidents, 7 alarms, 17 animal control, 8 county assists with an arrest, 5 FD AMR assists, 10 motorist assists, 1 burglary of a motor vehicle. Nothing was stolen. We had 21 city ordinance violations. Some of those were a mix of multiple unapproved services. Some were high grass, junk vehicles, things like that. No citations were given, all warnings, just so they can get them fixed within 10 days, and so far no citations have still been issued. They've taken care of those. 4 civil matters, 1 criminal mischief that ended up of $800, 1 criminal trespass, 4 disturbances, 1 drug offense that ended up being an arrest, 2 different charges that were felony, 1 misdemeanor in that 1 offense, 1 arrest, 1 DWI, 4 follow-ups, 1 illegal dumping, 3 juvenile contacts, 1 missing person, 2 noise complaints, 1 open door, 8 others. We have 54 PR contacts. That's just meeting with random people in the city that's wanted to talk or had questions about anything and everything. 14 record requests, 2 runaway, 2 sex offender registry, just their annual registration. We do have 1 that's coming in that's coming to register with me this weekend. We had 1 stolen vehicle for $10,000. It was recovered in Hood County with an arrest of the person who took it. 9 suspicious persons, 12 suspicious vehicles, 2 thefts, totaling to $300. That's just wood stolen from job sites. 1 towed vehicle, 8 traffic hazards, 9 vehicle searches. 5 of those searches ended up having contraband in them, and 8 welfare checks with a total of 242 calls. $11,100 total in costs, and total of 3 arrests for that month.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any big busts that we should know about this month?
The drug offense, that constituted about 60 grams of shrooms, ended up having at least 4 ounces of THC wax, which is vapes, and then just under 2 ounces of marijuana was also taken in that bust.
Good job.
So it was a good job by our officers who ended up taking that. One of them is actually Mr. Templar right there. He was the lead officer on there. He did a great job.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Fire department.
Good evening, Mayor. Yes. I've got an updated list at time that I presented the department report. The month wasn't meeting, so I'll give you some updated numbers. We had a total of 118 calls for the month of July. 21 fire calls, 67 rescue and medical services. Hazardous condition with no fire, 5. Service call, 13. Good intent call, 10. False alarm and false call, 2. So those are just some updated numbers for you. The only other thing I was gonna inform you on is twice in the month of July, we were contacted by Johnson County Emergency Management Office for aid to Parker County one, and then Hill County on the second one, for the large grass wildland fires they had. We were asked to do deployment for Parker County. We got, made sure we were gonna be well staffed, and, the guys were getting ready to leave the station, and they stood everybody down, so we ended up not going. The guys were kind of disappointed, actually. The second one in Guam, we got called for tanker support. If you hadn't heard, there were 3 brush trucks, not ours, lost in that fire, a lot of cedars, so it was pretty bad one, but we went down to that one for about a 7-hour operational period in support of that fire. And other than that, if you have any other questions for me, I'll answer them.
What were the good intent calls?
I have to research those further.
Or what would they typically be?
Let me see this other list I can give you an example.
Would that be like illegal burn, someone calling it in with the intent of possibly having a structure fire and then?
A lot of times that is the case, and I don't remember the exact date we've been under a burn ban. We get those a lot when we're not under a burn ban, and people are authorized to burn as long as it's 30 minutes before dusk and 30 minutes after dawn, so while under burn ban, not the case, that's a very big ticket, so that is a good example. I'm trying to think of something.
It's good. I just wanted to make sure that's what we were talking about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public Works.
Good evening, council and citizens. This past month, we performed 180 locates. Our locates are picking up due to more construction getting started again. On the water side, we did a fire hydrant repair at 5th and Graham. We were gonna start on the water leak beside City Hall this week, but with the heat and other things popping up, we weren't able to start on that yet. So it'll probably start next week. For sewer, we're continuing to flush and pressure clean the sewer lines. Parks, we are getting bids for the commercial toilet paper dispensers, hand dryers, and a plumber. Also, mowing is slowed down at City Park. Streets, we have been testing a new material to fill the potholes. It's called rock asphalt. After several testings, we believe this is the best material out there. I mean, pricing's better than what we're using. And what testing we did with it, we had a dump truck drive over them, both what we used before and the new stuff. We also had the fire department's 3,000-gallon tanker drive over it as well. We scraped on it. This new stuff didn't even flake off. Our old stuff called cold mix, it scraped off. Due to the lack of rain, we were able to utilize the fire department to bring their tanker out and dump water. And it withstood the water dumping on it and everything, and we appreciate the fire department for helping us out with that due to the lack of rain. But the cost of this is about $17 a sack, 50-pound sack, compared to what we're paying right now for cold patch is about $45 to $50 for a 50-pound sack. So we're actually saving money on it as well, and it comes right out of here in Texas. It comes from Uvalde. It's an all-natural material, and we think it's a great asset to start using. So I would hope that y'all would let us start going with that.
You get the same volume of material out of each sack as you do the cold mix?
Yes, sir. Get the same exact amount. They're both 50 pounds. So, but for a pallet of 62 bags, it's going to be $1,054. Or for one cubic yard bulk bag, we're looking at only $470. But for the $470, we've got to have a minimum of 3. So, and it doesn't go bad. We're actually able to put it up in the warehouse to where it stays out of the weather, unlike some of the cold mix. Some of the cold mix, we could either buy it in bag form, or we could have it brought in by dump truck. So if it's brought in by dump truck, it's just poured out at the wastewater plant. The bags are kept inside, and with rock asphalt, the bulk bag will be kept inside, and so will the sacks. Other than that, myself and one other employee will be attending the TCQ Public Drinking Water Conference in Austin. We'll be leaving half day Monday, gone Tuesday and Wednesday. And this is a great opportunity to get free training and also network with vendors and municipalities. And I appreciate y'all allowing myself and one other employee to go to this. Also, this past month, we've had a couple of meetings with a company called iWorks to look at a new system to help with all the assets in our city can be put on it. It also does work orders, fleet maintenance updates, reminders for any of that. It could run reports on man hours used doing certain projects or certain people, what they're spending their time on. The good thing with this that we don't have with our other system that we currently use is this unlimited people can access it from their phone, laptop, regular computer, or whatever. So like the city hall can have access to it, I would have access to it, and then all 3 of my personnel would also have access to it. And I mean, I think this would be a great thing to go towards. But if y'all have any other questions, then I can try to answer the best I can on them.
What's the cost of the system you're using now? What's it called?
I don't know what the cost of the system that they're using now is. I have no idea. I wasn't involved in any of that. I don't even know what it's called. I know it just prints out, and we have to come up here and pick up the printout. So honestly, it would save time by going to this as well, because we would get it on our devices. But for this device that we're looking at, or this system we're looking at, I think it was, $8,000 for the first year, and then $5,000 after that. But with this new system as well is they could put a link on our city website to where citizens can go through and put what issues they have as well. So, I mean, that can take a lot out of, a lot of people in here, or phone calls being made.
So it functions as a citizen reporting system as well?
Yes,
So
sir.
There's two different things. I was a part of that meeting today. Not included in your binded packet, but in the loose leaf, there's all the agreements and applications of service. Just for information, we're not doing anything with it tonight. So there was a system just for like our assets. You can track all that. You can go through and put all your water meters, your stop signs, all your other signs, any sort of landmark that you want, you can put in there. Usually done through GIS, but you can also walk around with your cell phone, and if they're out fixing a meter, they can be like, oh, okay, this one's here. So then we know where it's at. Right now, we don't really have that capability. The engineer's working on it to get everything located since Atmos came through town last year, but we don't have access to it yet. We'll be able to put it on our website, and a citizen will be able to go in and say, hey, there's a dog issue here. Fill out the information, it'll get sent over to the system, notify Kevin, PD, whoever, and then you can attach pictures, and once the issue's solved, then it'll send them an email back, if that's what we choose to do.
So this is not just for public works, it can be a citywide
Yes, it's citywide,
information center?
yes. And it takes care of our asset list that we've been looking at getting, takes care of our mapping issues, because we don't know where half of our stuff is. And then that citizen complaint comment would be nice, so that way they don't call City Hall all day long, and we're filtering through those. They can give us an exact location, it goes to the department, they go out and fix it.
How's the asset database compiled? We do the initial input,
Yes,
and then we've got to keep up with it, I'm
yes.
assuming.
Yeah, and it has a whole bunch of reporting tools that we can use. If something's gonna go out of date, we can pull a report for like 90 days out, like say inspections on a truck, or if we need an oil change at a certain time. It can integrate with Encode, which is what we use for everything.
With our existing encode?
Yes. So that's one thing I wanted to make sure, since that does run this city, I wanted to make sure it was compatible with that, and it is.
Another thing I really liked about it is that it would have our infrastructure on there. So all of our water lines, our sewer lines and all that. So we wouldn't have to go back and look at an outdated map that we got now. We would have, accessibility right there on the phone. But I talked to the engineer firm, they're working on trying to get us updated maps. No timeline on when we're gonna get that, but I think having this capability would be a tremendous help.
But this was just to give an update of what's going on, so that way everyone's aware. Like I said, we're not voting on anything tonight, it'll be on the next agenda.
Previously, you were talking about finding all the water meters laying around in the town. Have we discovered all of those?
You talking about the valves?
The other valves, yes.
We-
All up and find them?
We have not had a chance to get through and get those yet. We've been working that fire hydrant, that took 4 days in itself to get it fixed and get it set up. I mean, including myself, we were all in water up to our chest trying to get it taken care of. So we have not yet, but, after talking with, a few people, we're gonna seek some advice from the engineer to see what all that this grant would cover, and, see what our next steps are, and see how much time we have.
A grant to buy this?
Oh, no. For this, no, sir.
That's for the water valves.
Yes, sir, that's for the water valves. I thought that's what you're asking. Sorry about that.
Well, no, I know that's fine.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
How are you gonna keep track of all these people? Will they have a sticker you put on there, like a QR code, and then you go from that each time, or a barcode for each piece of equipment we get in, so we know how many stop signs we have, how many we have in storage?
I mean, we could, that's up to us. That would just be an input on this program. I don't think it produces a QR code or a barcode or a specific label for that asset.
It is a good idea, but as of right now, we can count what we've got and then put it in there. And then let's say one of my guys goes out and puts a stop sign up. Well, we'll have to input in there that it's a sign, a pole, brackets, 2 or 3 sacks of concrete, however much we use, and it would take that away from what our inventory is. So it actually keeps track of our inventory as well.
Sounds good.
Any other questions?
No, sir, thank you.
I have one more. The storage of the rock asphalt, is the storage time any different? Does it go bad or get hard or whatever you wanna call it?
From whenever we had the meeting with the guy and he came out and did his demo, he said that it doesn't get hard, it doesn't go bad or anything. He brought us a sack out there and actually showed us, and it was a lot softer. It wasn't nearly as messy. I mean, we could hold it with our hands, and hands doesn't even get dirty compared to the cold mix that we use. It's got tar in it and all that. So it might actually help with the citizens as well by their vehicles not risking getting tar on it or anything like that as well. But it does not have a shelf life.
Cool.
When you drive over it, it doesn't track behind the car or cold patch does?
No, it did not. In fact, whenever we did it, we went out there and used the fire department's water to test with the water testing and all that. And it was weird because the cold mix that we've been using, you could watch bubbles coming up with it. That stuff, it packed so great that didn't have any bubbles or anything coming up.
Well, that brings up one interesting question for me. So let's assume you had a job and you needed one bag of cold mix. How many bags of the rock asphalt would you use in that same job?
It's 1 to 1.
1 to 1.
Yes, sir. He used exactly 2 bags on filling a pothole, and we did the same thing with 2 bags as well.
Nice. All right, thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
For municipal court, we are currently getting our court clerk trained. We are not gonna have court until September. Nothing really new there. Nothing new for engineering. For city administrator, economic development, I've included something from our attorney's office going over some house bills that are pertinent to cities.
Was this the one that you sent this one to us, Dean, before, or is this a new one? I noticed the date's July 10, so it looks like the old one that we had, or that you sent recently.
I believe this is the one he sent. I just wanted y'all to have it in your packets, so that way you
Okay.
could review it.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Yes, lots of changes coming, well, September 1st.
Yeah, we really wanted to highlight the most important bills that we thought would really impact cities the most.
Yeah.
So there's a lot in here, zoning code, take a look at that. As far as shot clock, and there's some items on the agenda today, you know, like the calendar. I mean, all of that's contemplated within some of these new changes.
Thanks for sending that. The stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, and just to give you another update on Chapter 212, one of our other partners, Bryn, met with TML last Friday. And so TML's kind of gathered together a group of other city attorneys, city administrators, just trying to figure out how to really interpret the new changes to the plating requirements, shot clock, and then also some of the permitting language has been added and some. So it's kind of like, you know, they changed the law and then you got to figure out what it really means. And so we're working together to do something that's more uniform so that kind of cities are all kind of on the same page to the greatest extent possible.
Didn't Houston and somebody else sue? But was that on a different matter?
Yeah, so Houston, I believe Houston, San Antonio, I want to say San Antonio, I believe
That
that they
sounds
have
right.
both sued on, you know, the state law preemption, basically making all home rule municipalities into general law
Okay.
municipalities, which they argue would conflict with the Texas Constitution.
Okay.
There's
right.
no need for a distinction if you eliminate the distinction through the legislature without amending the Constitution.
Gotcha.
No one else has anything further. I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second.
Aye.
Aye.
Roger?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda passes unanimously. Discussion and action items. Discussion and possible action on approving the confirmation of Karina Phillips as court clerk for the city of Godley. Karina's been here for a few weeks now. She's done a phenomenal job. She's getting trained on what she didn't already know, albeit slowly because we haven't had access to everything. Definitely been a huge help manning the phones, being the frontline person.
Make a motion to approve Karina Phillips as court clerk for the city of Godley.
I'll second that motion.
I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No further discussion.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item B, discussion and possible action on approving the purchase of 100 water meters from Core and Main in the amount of $31,825. Would you like to speak on this?
We're requesting to be able to purchase 100 water meters this time due to, at this moment, we have about 31 or 32 water meters that need to be changed out that are currently installed at residence locations. These water meters last for approximately 10 to 15 years, and then they go bad, and we have to change them out. Right now, we've got 31 that need to be changed out. Well, not only do we have that, but we have new instructions that are coming in. And right now, with lead time, we're looking at 6 months to a year to get those water meters. So I'm requesting that we be able to purchase these. The water meters that we use are very specific. The only person that we can buy them from is Core Main. So I couldn't go out to find another vendor. But what we are doing is, the meters that we do have in the ground now have a digital reading on top. But what we were finding out is that digital is going bad a lot quicker. So we're gonna switch to an odometer reading on it. We'll still be able to go out with our handheld and be able to pick them up, but if we don't get a reading, when we go look at the water meter itself, we're requesting to get the odometer reading on it instead of the digital, because the odometer is not gonna break like a digital will. So, same price as what the digital is, works the same, life is the same. So, I'm just asking for us to be able to purchase that 100 of them, because we're looking at 6 months to a year just to get them.
How many vendors are there for water meters in the world?
There's a bunch, but we can only do one specific brand.
Why is that?
Handheld Neptune.
Why is that?
That's the handheld that we've got. That's the program that the city bought years ago to be able to read these
Can we get them for 30?
I wish I could.
So just to give a little extra information, so like the Higher Link subdivision is gonna have 49 connections, Terra Vista is gonna have 12, Rosemary Fields is gonna have 300, Parkview Apartments is gonna have 20. That's just a few of our projects that are all gonna need new.
Now, whenever we have a new construction, there is a water meter fee. So the city will get their money back for those, but the ones that have gone bad at the already lived in residences, we can't charge for that. They've already paid theirs wherever they built, or whatever. So we can't charge for that. But the city will receive their money back on the new constructions. That is part of the permit fees.
Is there a volume discount if we bought 200?
He actually gave me a little bit of a discount by buying 100.
We're gonna need them anyway, right?
We do need
For
them,
Rosemary Field alone, for goodness sake.
but I think Rosemary Field, they're only building now, I believe, 75 per year, if I'm not, am I correct, Mary Pro Tem? It's been a little while since I looked at that.
So Higher Links, which was 49, is gonna be built out within the next 12 months. Terra Vista, which was 12, is the next 18 months. Rosemary Fields, which was the 300, is gonna, they're gonna start within the next 10 months, and it doesn't say whenever they're gonna be built out, but I would assume at least probably 2 years to build that many homes. And apartments will be complete within the next 12 months, now it's 20 connections. So that's a total of 381 just on those.
And if you want to authorize 200, that'd be great, because I mean, like I said, we're 6 months to a year out on getting them from the factory.
One of the things also that we are looking at on these water meters for, and we'll go into this later into our permit, when we talk about that, is whoever set these permit fees was doing a wash through. We were just getting the price of the meter, it wasn't covering shipping, labor, our guys, our fuel, any of that. It was literally a wash through. So I've contacted our Johnson County, so they're charging for a water meter almost $5,000. So, and I've talked to a developer today, and they were very aware that our prices are this, and they're used to paying this. So I've kind of let some of the developers know that all that's going to be changing, you know, with the council approval. That I think these, what we're talking about, this cost, the reason I'm saying this is going to be covered. I think it's not going to be a hit to our budget like it was in this last fee schedule. If we choose as a council to change that, then it will be over and above what these meters are supposed to be costing us, because we're losing money. We're losing money on a lot of aspects. Yeah.
Losing money on meters that aren't reading.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, there's no reason why we shouldn't have, 30 to 50 meters just on our shelf.
Yeah, so 31,000 sounds like a lot of money, but if it's billed out properly like it was supposed to be, we wouldn't be worried about it taking a hit on it.
It sounds like we're gonna have over half of them sold, quote unquote, anyway.
Yeah.
So
And
why
with
was
all
the
the
100 chosen, just to have a few spares?
Yeah.
That way we have some on the shelf, and then whenever the new constructions get ready, then as soon as they pay their money, we got one meter to go put in right away for them. Because I mean, like I said, if not, we're looking at 6 months to a year out.
And speaking of that, does Core and Main did your salesman have any idea what the prices are gonna be for the next ones coming up?
He
Next
cannot tell me
manufacturing, right?
exactly what the jump in the prices are gonna be, but every July they go up. And luckily, it didn't jump up but $17 from this last year. So, but I mean, still $17, when you add it up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it may be $17 for this jump, well, next jump may be $50. But grass is getting more expensive, everything's getting more expensive, the inflation, it sucks.
And we just currently had the privilege of having a lady come here for a few days this week to start our audits. And she did our water and trash. Amazing. She was amazing. But she's the one that started finding all of this. And within like 3 days, she realized all these meter, and she's getting it all straightened out. So it's just the beginning of the audits we're about to have. So I think this is a positive step, and I appreciate everything you've put into it, because I know the last 2 weeks has been hard on all of us, and I just want you to know how much we appreciate it.
I appreciate that. I thank y'all, the council as well.
So I think, I think we stuck with 100 and not went with 250 or 300, just because if, let's say, the economy tanks, we don't want to be stuck with $100,000 worth of meters
Yeah.
with no houses being built.
And not only that, but we can always just raise the price on the next set. I didn't think about that at first, but if the price goes up, we just raise the price for the meters. So, all right, well, make a motion to approve the purchase of 100 water meters from Core and Main in the amount of $31,825. Does that include shipping, delivery, all of that? Okay.
I'll second that.
I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No further discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Are we not streaming tonight?
No, it's not working. C, discussion and possible action on approving an ordinance amending the master fee schedule for the city of Godley. So tonight, we're not going to approve an ordinance. We're going to talk about the master fee schedule and see what we want, so that way we can put it onto a actual fee schedule to present and write an ordinance for that. In your packet, I've included a fee schedule. We gave it to each department head. They went and said, we think it should be this much. If I had a color printer, then it would be in color for the edits, but they're the ones that are in the middle of the second column.
Did you say that again? Where the edits are?
They're in the middle of the column. So for the residential water deposit for renters was going from 300 to 400. Commercial water deposit was going from 200 to 400. The water meter for new ones is currently just the actual cost of the digital meter, which makes us lose money on every single one. We were initially thinking 500 until we got J-Suds back, and we need to, on all these, we'll get a hold of surrounding cities and compare. For sewer, the residential sewer only deposit currently is at 100. They thought it should go to 200. Commercial sewer only deposit was 150. They thought it should go to 200. For culvert installation under streets and road, for owner installation, it was just the cost of the culvert. We want to do cost plus $25 in fuel to cover fuel to go out to East Texas and get culverts.
Cost plus $25 only? Or cost me, I got a little four-banger and it'll cost me more than that to go to East Texas.
Well, you buy them in bulk, so you get 15, 20 culverts at a time, times $25.
Oh, okay, times $25, okay, so it's per culvert,
Yes.
okay.
Under public safety for fire, if you look up, it's a couple pages past where we were just at. If you look up at public safety police, you'll see false alarm response fees. We currently have not been charging those, even though they're in our fee schedule. We're going to start doing that, just to reduce that number
This is time, 1 to 3, 4 to 5 in a month, a year, what is that? Over what time period?
in a year.
Did
If
we,
they're actual calls, that's great, but if we get there and once again, it's not a false alarm, then we're gonna start charging them, because a lot of cities do that just so it kinda kills that behavior.
do we currently track, I thought we tracked false or alarms, or do we not, Sergeant?
Yes, sir, every alarm call we go to is tracked, so far, but only kind of repeated every month is Bloomfield's home.
Okay.
But that's usually because the worker that is not normal into that goes in there, and it's usually not Chet or the manager, it's usually one of the workers that do it.
Am I missing it in this report, or is it just not in there right now?
I don't think it's in there right now.
What would you suspect would be the number per month, you'd say?
Maybe once a month with Bloomfield, but all the times, they're not always, some are legit calls and some are not.
Okay.
So it's kind of a hit and miss, like Michael said. Some are legit calls and some are like Bloomfield.
Okay.
Everyone else. Some end up being witnesses that they come out.
Okay, thank you.
So like whenever we have a thunderstorm and there's lightning in Star Ranch, tend to get a false call on one of their houses, just because it sets off their alarm system for some reason.
Are we gonna bill for that, or are we gonna give them grace
I mean,
for
they
acts
get,
of God, force majeure?
I mean, it's not like the lightning is striking their house, it's just in the area and it sets it off. So the first one's obviously free. Actually, 1 through 3 is free, and then 4 through 5 is 50. 6 through 7 is 75, and 8 to 9 is 100. And as he just told you, the likelihood that we have to use that, which those are already in place in our master fee schedule, but the likelihood we have to use that is slim, but they're in there in case.
Got you,
Because if they're not in our fee schedule, we can't do anything about it.
got you.
So we're basically wanting to do the same thing on the fire side. On the very bottom, I didn't have enough room to put new fees in there without creating a whole new document. But for fire alarm, 1 through 3 is $0, 4 through 5 is $75, and 6 plus is $100. For false alarm, 1 through 3 is $0, 4 through 5 is $75, and 6 plus is $100 each. And currently, we do not make a homeowner or builder register their alarm system. I would like us to start doing that and charging a small fee. It lets us know where there's alarms and where there's not alarms. We can start tracking that. Most cities do that. Do that. And then we really need to look at our permitting fees, which would be under building and construction and new residential construction plan review and inspection. Right now, we just kind of do pass-through cost to Bureau Veritas, and even Bureau Veritas says we don't charge enough.
Yeah.
Especially with the man hours that go into all of these, we're definitely not recouping our cost.
Well, these aren't our man hours, but they're Bureau Veritas's man hours currently, correct?
Well, they're both, because we have administrative. We have to do stuff here before we can just send it to Bureau Veritas. It has to be sent to us first. We look over it, then send it to BV. They send it back if there's revisions, and we have to get back a hold of the builder, homeowner, whoever, and they have to send it back to us, and we have to send it back to BV. So in a perfect world, you're only touching it once, but in this world, we touch permits,
All day long,
yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
all day.
But that's something we're gonna have to check surrounding cities and make sure that we're competitive, so to speak, with their rates. But I just wanted y'all to start thinking about those things, and if y'all saw anything on here that y'all specifically wanted to talk about, now would be the time.
And on this fee schedule, where you do see under the building construction, where you see actual cost, what that is BV provides us a calculator with their fees. So we have to put, like on, new builds, we have to put square footage, some things go by valuation. So all that's done in their calculator to calculate the prices. And that's what we charge back to the builders. But then going back, our admin fees, we have to add, because our admin fee that we have here is different than the admin fee that's been used. It's like fees are not cohesive with what is in this, that's been adopted.
So we're gonna do a cost plus thing maybe, or we're gonna go flat rate?
So Dean, there was so many bills that went through Austin this legislative session. Wasn't there something, if I'm remembering correctly, where it was you can't use percentage based anymore?
Yeah, we'll take a really close look at it. We're gonna go through each one of these, and just the general discussion. Gotta make sure they're not excessive, that they don't constitute a tax. And so when you talk about recouping costs plus admin fees, there are some limitations there. And then at some point, if you go too far, then you have an unconstitutional tax. So that's what some of those bills are aimed at, but I don't know what specific bill you're talking about, so let me look. There were so many.
Yes, there were.
Yeah.
So is there anything specific y'all wanted to talk about, a section, or?
I'm gonna have to study it compared to other cities. This is what we have right now. This hasn't anything that you guys added later, right?
Correct, except for the little changes that are.
Except for the price changes? Okay. Gonna take some study to get up to speed.
Because I do believe the water taps, your sewer taps, your meter, a new meter, all of those are probably, we're gonna have to look into those to see if they're comparable to surrounding cities, county, that type of stuff.
And I will say builders have gotten away very cheap over the last 6+ months.
I've been dealing a lot with the builders, and I've already had, like I said, yesterday I had a meeting with one, today I had a meeting with one. One of them was very aware that their fees were a little over $1,000, like, for so long, and they're actually supposed to be 4,000 and 5,000, and could be up, really, once we really check into this. So I don't know where that trend started, but it clearly was not off of our master fee schedule. Because if our master fee schedule was followed, the bills would have been proper, and they weren't proper. So,
There's no further discussion. I'd like to take no action on this and revisit it at a later date.
Make a motion to, for no action on item C.
I got a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second for no action. Any further discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously for no action. Item D, discussion and possible action on approving an ordinance amending the lot area regulations from current size of 7,500 square feet to 10,890 square feet as shown in the City of Godley Ordinance 154.016. Once again, another discussion item. I want y'all's opinions on increasing our minimum lot sizes.
You've got discussion and action. I was about to make a motion to approve.
Yeah.
We don't have an ordinance
Yeah.
written, because I,
And I'll read your current ordinance, so anytime you're changing zoning code, this is what it says. Public hearing shall be held by the city council before adopting any proposed amendment, supplement, or change. Notice of the hearing shall be given by publication one time in a paper of general circulation in the city, stating the time and place of the hearing, which time shall not be earlier than 30 days from the date of first publication.
Let's get a public hearing set up ASAP, because this is a good idea.
Are we only required one publication and then 30, or you have to do it 30 days after the publication, correct?
It says, notice of the public hearing shall be given by publication one time in a paper of general circulation in the city, stating the time and place of the hearing, which time shall not be earlier than 30 days from the first date of publication.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yes,
Okay.
it did.
I was
Thank
reading
you.
it fast the first time I tried.
So we might be able to revisit this the second meeting in September, if we get it published tomorrow, let's assume, which we may not.
so I wanted to discuss this because I don't want to spend taxpayer money by putting it in the paper if it's not something that we even remotely are interested in.
I'm for it.
I'm for it.
Right off my head on the board.
So yeah, I'll put it out in the paper and on the website, and I'll get with you to get an ordinance drafted.
Yeah, let's draft the ordinance, we'll get the heading so that you can put it in the paper so that the public can understand what's being changed. And, there would be, of course, in the ordinance, a clause that would not, so this would not impact current lots, right, current plats. This would be going forward.
How is current gonna be defined? Approved or submitted or?
Approved, currently approved, yeah, it's not gonna change anything that currently exists, as approved.
So
Does that
any
help?
So something
preliminary-
in the line,
Something, I mean, if you don't have a final plat yet, then I would say it's not approved, but we need to check that against the shot clock, we need to check it against the current new laws.
Mhm.
So let's just make sure, normally we'll include like a savings clause in there so that there can be no argument that somehow we're going back in time and doing like a regulatory taking, unconstitutional taking. So that would be the reason for that kind of savings clause.
okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir, thank you.
I make a motion to take no action on this item.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No further discussion. Scott?
Does this no action mean you're not gonna post it? No, you're
I'm
gonna
gonna
get with
post it, we're just
Dean and
not
work with
taking-
that, okay.
yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item E, discussion and possible action on approving a City of Godly submittal calendar. So I've been racking my brain over grand views.
I got it. It's really simple. Pull it up and I'll show you. The only problem is August.
Oh, wrong keyboard.
here and
So if you count from the submittal date from the yellow square, let's use July. If you start counting, I can't read it because I'm blind with a bat, but if it's, I think that's the 3rd,
6th or 5th.
5th. If you start from the 6th and count forward, there'll be about an average of 29 days between the submittal date and the date that the next council meeting will come up, except for August. August has, there's more days in August, but we could probably cover that since we have 2 meetings a month. It'll be okay, or if we have to have a special meeting to cover it, it'll be fine. But for the rest of the months, it's 29, about 29 days
28.
average.
28. I think they were doing a 28-day calendar, weren't they?
I think it's 29.
In that recording. you
It
said?
may be 28. But I counted 29, given the actual day of the meeting.
So you want the first,
We could do the first Monday, like they do the first Wednesday, or the Wednesday prior to their meeting, which is Thursday, the first Thursday of the month. We could do a first Monday. It should all work out except for August. August we'll go over if we have submittals.
so next year, in 2024, if you're a different month, we'll have the same problem?
That's a good question. I'm not certain about that, but we'll just have to keep careful track of that.
Do they release a new one every year, though?
I think, when I talked to her, she said that she was trying this out she's just an interim an interim city administrator there. They were trying this out. She was a little busy, didn't have a whole lot of time to talk about it. So,
Well, we can always change it, if it doesn't work out for us.
and the idea, their definition of submittal, of course, I think is similar to ours. She made a point to say, you know, when you send your plans into engineering, that's not the submittal date. We don't do that either. We wait until, we've got the fees and Glenn approves the plat submittals. So, I think it works out pretty much. Have you counted the days, for example, in January there, and do you find that to be true or not?
Let's see, there's middle days on the 3rd, so it's 7, 15, 21, 28.
So the 29th day would be that Thursday, the 1st of February, which gives you 1 day minus the shot clock.
Yeah. So I think their only saving graces if something changes is they have a P and Z commission, whereas we act as a P and Z commission and they get extra time because of that, because it goes through the P and Z and then goes to them.
But don't ours work such that when Glenn's done with them, there shouldn't be any more revisions, fees are paid, that's the final plat, then it comes to us for approval or disapproval, isn't that correct? There's no time in between, I mean, best case scenario.
I mean, yes, they're supposed to pay their fees, submit everything to us, we send it, I go through it, make sure it meets all our criteria, I send it to Glenn, send it to Johnson County. They do their comments, and then as long as their submittal is complete, that 30-day shot clock starts. So if I take 5 days because I'm super busy instead of 3 days, and then Glenn takes 2 weeks, Johnson County takes a couple weeks to submit theirs, so they're about even. And then we, for some reason, don't have a meeting that first Tuesday. Well, we missed that shot clock.
But the way she was explaining it, the way they're doing it is, it's the month behind. So, let's assume you're right. Let's assume So the third presupposes, the submittal day presupposes, for example, in our case, that Glenn is done, Johnson County's done, everybody's done, all the fees are paid, it's ready. And then not necessarily, you know, all of that has to be finished. And then that's the submittal day, starting on Wednesday, that Wednesday. So with us having 2 meetings a month, I'm not sure how we would, even if we miss the first Tuesday, how we would miss it on the the third Tuesday.
So they have all, let's take January, they have all the documents, it's already been through engineering.
To the county, been through engineering, all the fees are paid, and that may have taken 3 months, who knows? But yeah, all of that is done by the P and Z Commission, so I understand her to say. And then it is ready to go. There's no more need to go to the county, no more need to go to engineering or anything. So it may be a week, let's say Johnson County gets done on December 31st. So it'll be the 2 days till the 3rd, or 3 days till the 3rd, before the submittal date is actually submitted. That's that, and they're using that as a legal definition of the submittal day.
Yeah, so that's what cities have been doing before this legislative session. So now, what we need to do is adopt, and so the laws are always written, they don't tell you exactly how you're supposed to implement these things, right? So it tells you that a municipality is not prevented from having a calendar, okay? It doesn't tell you, do you have to adopt it by ordinance, or you can do it by resolution, right? But then these new section, required application materials. So we're talking about the application now that's submitted. So what you have to do is you have to post online, since you have a website, all the documents that are required for your application. And when all of those documents are submitted online, that's when submittal has been made. So it's pre-actual review. And so I'm just gonna read this here. It says an application submitted to the municipal authority responsible for approving plat, so that's you, that contains all documents and other information on the list provided under subsection 8 is considered complete.
Even if fees haven't been paid? Oh my
So-
gosh, man.
So that would be, fees would be on the list.
Oh, is it?
Fees
Okay.
would, this is a list you get to create. So whatever you have your engineer do, his typical standard due diligence, put it all on the list. Ordinances that you require, plans specification for streets, that kind of thing, put it all on the list. Have them submit everything, put the list on the internet. That's what you're now required to do or you will be required September 1st. Have your list, and the list has to be ready and online by January.
2024?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So have your list, put it online, that way they know exactly what to submit. And then from there on out, it's like whatever they have submitted, if you can tell that it violates an ordinance, that's when you're looking back and saying, hey, we flagged this, it violates an ordinance, you need to correct it. And so that's where you get a little bit of additional time. So yeah, this is a big change, because cities were able to play with the application language, the way the law is written. And so therefore you could say, hey, we're not accepting your application because it's not complete, it doesn't give us enough information to act. Well, this is supposed to change all that.
When does this come into effect? September 1st or?
The law goes into effect, let me search it real quick. Yeah, September 1st goes into effect. The list, I believe, is January. Give me 1 second. as soon as practicable after the effective date of this act, but not later than January 1st, 2024. Each municipality shall adopt and publish the list described by section 2120081. That's the new list.
So we could do this for 4 months, try to develop a list.
Oh, yeah, work on the list that you want, and we'll check the list, and, you know, within the parameters of the law, we'll make sure that it's exactly what you want, and then with your submittal calendar that you adopt, we can make sure that the timing's correct, so that you're not missing, you know, the shot clock. So yeah, again, we just have a lot of changes this legislative session, this is part of it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it still seems like a good organizational tool to me, and surely we can combine our heads together, come up with a list to make this work.
And if I'm not mistaken, they put out a list that you're required to do, correct? And then you can add your own.
Oh, did they produce a list that you require? There are some elements that must be on the list, yeah. But it's not, they haven't actually produced a formal list. And so, but that was the discussion with some of the other city attorneys and TML, trying to figure out what exactly these laws really mean and how cities are gonna implement it.
So let's assume we get sued for it. I mean, how's anybody gonna adjudicate that?
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, attorneys don't write statutes. And I, you know, I say that because even with the calendar, it doesn't tell you how do you adopt a calendar? So my recommendation is gonna be adopt it with your ordinance. And you adopt it with your ordinance so that these developers can't make any argument that somehow you're changing the schedule, or, you know, the city never really formally adopted it because it's a resolution. So we try to avoid all those types of arguments, and really need to just package together all these changes and, you know, along with the square footage. I mean, these are all things that you could do. You can bite it off piece by piece and get a comprehensive ordinance, or you could do it all at once.
Okay. Well, it's a great organizational tool. It'll help us, I think.
All cities, no matter what size, you have to follow a calendar or follow the same rules.
So some cities may not, the calendar is discretionary,
Right.
but so some cities may not utilize that tool at all. That's kind of the compromise, I think, with the old application requirements versus the new list. It's, okay, but cities, you can still do a calendar.
Do you feel like the calendars would be helpful, or do you feel like that it could be
Yes.
pose
I
more
think-
legal issues?
I think it will be very helpful, and I say that because then you're not getting random submittals.
Yeah.
I mean, you might just get them in bulk volume, but at least the work can be predictable, and that's usually the problem, is you just don't know, when did somebody submit this, when is the application really accepted? And that's what they were trying to head off before, is when is the application really accepted by a city? And so, you know, larger cities especially, I would think, would probably have that problem of, you know, because they send it to the town attorney or city attorney, does that mean it's accepted?
Right.
See, that's the thing we're facing right now. Like, we had Cooper Estates sent to us, well, dropped off to us. We had another one sent to the engineer directly. And he's like, I don't know if the fees have been paid or anything like that.
Yeah.
Y'all need to tell me. So is it submitted at that point? If they paid the fees to us and they submitted it to him? I think that's a major gray area.
There's no consistent flow of information that seems just like willy-nilly, just out there going everywhere, and we're trying to funnel it all in to who it needs to come to first, so that it's a more constant flow of information.
So
And-
part of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, some builders, because they are very busy, we're getting multitude of permits. And like you said, at least we can predict when they're turning them in, kind of our staff hours a little bit better too, because the way they're coming in, you might get one in a day, or you might get 20 in a day.
Yeah.
There's no way to know. But if you have a calendar and they all have to be in on that day, to me, it just helps you schedule out your time
Oh,
a lot
the
better.
argument for the calendar is convincing to me. Do we have to lay out rules for what goes where in the ordinance, or can we just lay it out in the ordinance, and then if the guy, say, or gal, sends it over to Glenn, Glenn can just say, no, you gotta send it to the city, and if he doesn't do that for 2 or 3 days, that's on him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say that's the point
That
of the
doesn't have to be
submittal.
spelled out in the ordinance or whatever,
I
it's
would
just,
spell it out in the ordinance.
oh, you would?
Yeah, yeah.
Must
Sub-
delivered
shall be
to a
submitted
certain
to,
spot at, you know,
right,
by
Public
a
Works
certain time
Director
that
or,
day.
yeah.
Everything be done. If
So-
not, it rolls over to the next month.
Oh,
This new
next
legi-
month, I like that. Can we do that?
If they don't.
Well,
missed
yeah,
the
because if you have a
submittal.
submitter calendar on a day, next month, you missed it, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
You
idea.
have one
Yeah.
day to get, you know, you have however long it takes you to get everything lined up, get all your paperwork done, submit it to one spot.
Yeah.
And if you make it, great. If you say, well, you missed this part here, you didn't pay your fee, come see us next month.
Yeah.
I like it.
And again, that's the conversation we're having with other city attorneys and TML municipalities. We're trying to figure out what, what is submittal. My reading at least is once a month. Right? So, you have a predictable shot clock, you get bulk volume of submittals all together, you can lay them out, prioritize them, you know exactly what's gonna be on your agenda. That way you're not having to call special meetings to satisfy the shot clock.
Right, exactly.
Well, one of the things we had a meeting with Bureau Veritas, and one of the options that we were presented with is, right now, we have the applications coming to us, then we send everything to Bureau Veritas. One of the options they did offer us is they did say that everything, we could start doing it directly from the developers straight to Bureau at the very beginning. And that way, because now it's like coming to us, then we have to go to them, and it's a lot of shifting around, we're trying to streamline it. So would that be any different with these new legislation? Is it going to them instead of us? Like we're talking about once a month? Would
Yeah,
it-
I think you can do that. I think you can do that, cause they'll be able to submit on your website. And so wherever you link that submittal to,
Well, they typically just send it to Bureau Veritas, they have a specific, email,
yeah,
and they just want it sent to it, because that goes straight into the review process.
yeah.
So, and then we get a confirmation, this has been submitted, you know, for review, so,
Yeah.
but that is one of the things, I don't think we've completely come down to starting it yet, but that was one of the things we had talked about doing. Just trying to streamline the process a little better, so.
I might like to see it, or have staff see it before it goes to BV. Just so, because BV won't know whether or not, you know, they can't read our minds. They'll probably just start the process of getting it ready to go.
Well-
So I think y'all are talking about two totally separate things. The calendars are for developments. What y'all are talking about is permits.
Okay.
So permits, we're not changing.
Oh, she's not saying that the whole plat and everything's going to them first, because
It would be
that was
permits.
what.
The permits are
Maybe
gonna go to them
permits.
first,
Yeah, I get that,
but plats
I
still
thought
have
you
to
were
come to
saying
the
the plats
city.
were
No,
gonna go to
no,
them.
not that part.
But that was one, I mean,
Is-
where did Glenn go
I
then?
was gonna say, they don't deal with the
Yeah,
plat,
okay, yeah, that's,
So-
all right, so that was,
just to mix up.
well, the calendar needs to be done, I think. I think we should get it started. We'll figure out a way to get our list together and before January. And maybe have some clever way to save us from failure to meet the shot clock issues.
Yeah, well, let me just read the statute. I mean, this is the new language, just so you kinda know how the submittal calendar is contemplated to work. So it just says, the subchapter may not be construed to restrict a municipality from establishing a submittal calendar to be used by an applicant to facilitate compliance with the approval process.
Thanks, Austin.
Yeah. So again, that's why I say maybe you do it by ordinance. I mean, how do you establish a submittal calendar? Resolution, ordinance, something that they'll be able to, you don't want anyone to make the argument that the submittal calendar is invalid. Cause it wasn't formally adopted. But the statute doesn't tell us how to really do that.
So if we don't want a graphic like a calendar, like the city of McKinney I just pulled up, they just do dates. And I think a calendar is a little bit easier to read. A little more user-friendly for the end user. But, I mean, we could just put dates. Grandview does 3 PM. All submissions must be received by staff before 3 PM on the submittal date, or they will not be accepted until the next submittal day, which will be the next month. All fees, exhibits due, any incomplete applications will be rejected. McKinney's is 8 to 5 PM the Monday that they do their submittals.
They do their submittal every Monday,
Yes.
like once a month.
Yeah, I do too.
If we need to, we can bring extra help in for a couple of days if it gets that busy.
So what would y'all like to do? Obviously, we're gonna have to have
Well,
an
we gotta
ordinance
have-
written up and all that, but
Right, that's the first step, I suppose, is to get the ordinance written up. So, let's get started on that. Don't tell anybody that we're doing this, you guys out there. So, do we want a motion to just start on the ordinance? What do we want to do, Mayor Pro Tem?
I don't think you really need to take any action, and we'll just do it and bring it back.
All right, make a motion for no action on item E.
I get a motion for no
We
action.
have some action, we need to be working on it. We need to direct staff, somebody to start working. I don't wanna wait.
Look at me, he said it.
I mean, I am staff.
Okay, well, then I wanna put that into it, somebody, you or somebody you designate is working on this, so when we come back, we can vote on the date and at least have a preliminary idea of what has to be in the submittals.
So someone wanna
I
help me
will
with
amend my
that?
motion to direct Mayor Pro Tem Papenfuss.
You still don't have a second, so it dies for lack of a
Oh,
second.
okay. Well, there you go.
So
Make a motion to direct Mayor Pro Tem Papenfuss to, what was it you wanted, Roger? You make the motion.
I just I want to be working on a calendar and working on a list of items that have to be turned in by a certain date on that calendar.
So, no direction, or no action with direction to staff to do it for the next agenda.
Good enough. We've been in the past, submittals were put off whenever they wanted to, special meetings for no other reason than to make a developer happy.
Yeah.
And this is, take care of that, everybody's treated the same, one guy can't say you did it for him, so now you gotta do it for me. It's clear cut, be done with it.
Yep. I second the motion.
So who's gonna help with this? Cause the rest of August is pretty much tied up with budget stuff.
Help with,
I think he's asking if you're willing to help research, because he's tied
Well,
up
sure.
with budget, and
Yeah.
I'm tied up with
Sure, I
all the
can.
development stuff. I mean, our staff is,
sure, I'll do what I can. Just send me what you want. I mean, at this point, we're just building out an ordinance, aren't we?
Yeah, so we'll draft up an ordinance, we'll get started on a list, so we need to talk to the city engineer, Glenn about getting his list together.
Okay,
And then to implement the list, you need to put it up on the website. So again, I mean, you have time on the list, you can really develop it, before you adopt it by ordinance, and then there's a procedure if you wanna change the list. So, get the list that you want, cause if you wanna change it later, then you'll have to do a notice and public hearing, that kind of thing, to change it again.
because it's an ordinance?
Cause it's an ordinance and also because of the way the law is written there, they build in some safeguards for the developers so that they're not, you can't just change the list every day.
Okay.
So Roger, you made I'm gonna take that as a motion for no action with direction to staff. Yes. Is that correct? All right, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No further discussion. Scott?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item F, discussion and possible action of removal of directors and appointment of new directors to the 4B Economic Development Committee. So we were given a list of the current ones. I don't know where it went now.
There's 6 there. I guess we don't know who the 7th is, or?
I cannot remember who the seventh one was.
Gotcha. Thank you for bringing that in. Where did we find the old list that we had before this one?
What's registered on Open Corporates and what was updated in 2022?
Oh, it was updated in 2022?
Couldn't hear what he said.
He said he found the existing list before the one you brought on Open Corporates, updated in 2022.
Well, Bobby has been passed away.
Yeah, I know
for
it.
5 years. Linda Light hasn't lived here in 10, 15 years.
Right.
Maybe more. So I don't know what he found, but we were in existence when the girls were working on their senior project, redoing the park. And that was before 22.
Okay, so we have a,
What I gave you is definitely the current list, minus the one that I couldn't remember.
okay. How much does it matter, Dean, that this is correct?
Statute says a director may be removed by the governing body of the authorizing municipality at any time without cause. Director is appointed by the governing body of the authorizing municipality for a term of 2 years.
Since we have conflicting information on, can we
Yeah.
just say everybody's gone and these are the new people and
Is
then
that
we'll
what I'm-
update it?
Is that what I'm hearing, is that you're trying to just update the entire list, and
Yeah.
maybe that's the cleanest way to do it, remove everybody, and then
Do we have to name them or do we just say you're all gone?
I think it would be good to have a board of 7 directors. I mean, continuously, at least, have the people that you want to put on there.
No, what I'm saying is, we've got, I don't know what, Open Corporates, I mean, I've used it before, but it's just basically a website that gives you, and so,
Sure.
that list is different from what, we got. So can we just say the old people are gone, and then these are the new ones that we're gonna appoint? Is that enough, without having to say, okay, this person, this person, this person, this person? Does it matter?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're
Okay.
gonna do it all tonight? You're gonna appoint 7 new members tonight, is that? the
I have
plan?
my one.
I'm not ready.
Okay.
I've talked to a couple people there, terrible ones, but I do need to know, does it have to be the,
Only 7, and I'm the only one that gets to choose one, because I don't know anybody.
do we pick people who live in town or have business in town? Have anything to do with town or nothing, or doesn't matter?
I think the only requirements were residents of the county for 4B.
I believe so.
I'm
Yeah, here's what it says. Each director of a type B corporation authorized to be created by a municipality with a population of less than 20,000 must be a resident of the municipality, be a resident of the county in which the major part of the area of the municipality is located, or reside within 10 miles of the municipality's boundaries and in a county bordering the county in which most of the area of the municipality is located. That's where you have two counties kind of overlapping. You have a 10-mile rule. So these are ors. Resident municipality or resident of the county, or 10 miles
Okay,
of the city's boundaries.
okay.
But yeah, I would say, if, I think the question, I would not get rid of all the board members tonight unless you have replacements, so that we have a continuous board, yeah.
Okay. All right, make a motion to postpone
Is
item,
there, one other thing, is there a limit to how many people can be on this? Is it 7, 6, 8, 12?
Yeah, so this is what it says, a board of directors of a type B corporation consists of 7 members. Doesn't tell you more or less, just, that's it.
make a motion to postpone item F until the September meeting.
You want to do the August 15th or the September 5th meeting?
Can do August 15th if you guys think you'll be ready by then. Think so? Well, try it on August 15th. If it doesn't work out, we'll postpone it again, so. I will amend the motion to postpone item, or the removal of directors and appointment of new directors to the 4B EDC until the August 15th meeting.
We got a motion by Scott to postpone item F as presented to the August 15th meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No further discussion, Scott?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously to postpone to August 15th. Item G, discussion and possible action on approving the purchase of laptops for city council members. So this is where I wish the overhead was working. So in front of you, you'll have two things from CDI Computers. One is stapled, one is not. The one that is not stapled is just informational for a tough book that'll be purchased for Public Works. The one that is stapled is two quotes from our IT people, one for a Lenovo IdeaPad 3, and the second one is a Lenovo IdeaPad 3 as well, but it has a better processor, more robust capabilities.
What are we gonna be putting on these?
These are for all your packets, anything that you're gonna do council related needs to be done on something other than like my personal laptop.
Yeah.
And these are what CDI recommended.
So the robust capabilities on the Ryzen machine, I don't see any more robust capabilities other than the processor.
Just the processor
For $300?
and a little bit better graphics card.
Which one do you have?
I don't know why an i3 wouldn't work fine for this particular, what are you running right there? Yours?
If you wanna spend $3,000, sure.
I was thinking in terms of, the performance, because it seems to work well when it works, so. But I don't know why an i3 wouldn't be fine just for PDFs. I mean, what else, really? And internet and email, that's just a bandwidth issue. That has nothing to do with processor speed necessarily. We're not gonna be doing any graphic design on them.
Will be for whenever we go to trainings. It's gonna be more than just viewing PDFs. If you do multiple applications, like right now, if I'm not on the computer in the city administrator's office and I'm on this, I mean, I have probably 10 to 15 applications open at once.
Yeah, but that's you. I mean, you're working. I don't know if we're gonna have that in a training session whenever, I mean, if they're like the TML one we just went to. Oh, but you're the one that, I mean, you can't use yours anymore. I get it. Well, buy 3 crappy ones for us and 1 good one for you.
So like, just comparing mine to this one, I have 12 processors. This has 4-thread processors. This is a dual core, mine's a quad core. My speed's a little bit faster on the CPU.
You're doing the i3 or the Ryzen? The i3.
I don't know the specs on the Vega 7 for the graphics processor on this one. The Ryzen 5 is not the newest. I think it's a Ryzen 7 for a processor. That would probably be comparable to mine. I mean, but I'm not worried about that. I'll use what I use, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'll deal with that later.
So we're gonna be getting our emails on this, we're gonna be getting, instead of coming up here and getting everything, we're gonna have this entire packet will be on this computer sent to us, that, for the meetings.
Yes.
So
It's your choice. You can still do paper and have the computers. Some people like writing down on paper. I like writing down on my computer.
Well, I like writing down on paper, but I like when I'm all said and done, clicking a button and have it there, instead of having a stack of papers that I have to figure out, where am I gonna put them, and how am I gonna find all this when I wanna look at something.
The main purpose of this is for legal issues or potential legal issues. Isn't that correct, Dean? It's the whole personal device versus city-owned
That's right.
devices in case of ORRs or whatever.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
so these are-
what the purpose of it is.
Right. So
Plus, the
business-
digitizing of the whole thing is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, if y'all don't want to do that, you just want screens up here, we can link screens to a main computer on one end, and I can pop up a screen instead of this. It goes to ours, and it
But then
goes
you're
up to theirs.
then you're defeating the whole, aren't you using it to store notes and, cause I mean, this is my work computer, but I use it to do all my minutes and my notes and everything. So if I do it, something that's here, that's logged into here, I'm still not able to take my notes and everything with me.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to have digital copies of everything. And storing digital, the copies of agendas and packets and such on my own internal servers in my office doesn't subject my server to an ORR.
I mean, those are all public records, they're publicly available anyway.
Yeah, okay. I like the digital idea, I really do. I got a stack of paperwork on my floor now because I don't have any place to put anything.
I like the digital, I'll go for that, just don't know, do we need the, $500 one, or do we need the $770 one? How many, okay, my iPad, I have 20 apps on it for work. How many apps will I need on this one?
Depends on what you do with it. I mean, whenever you say apps, I mean, most of my screen's covered with folders. not necessarily.
Okay, we're gonna have like
'Cause
the
I don't like that.
information we talked to a minute ago, the iWalk service, not the service agreement, but is that gonna be on our iPad?
So you won't have access to the iWorks program, the dashboard. That'll be the directors, employees will have user permissions, and then the city administrator.
Well, can I open it up to see what we're working on, not necessarily add or subtract anything, just to see where we're at, what the city worked on for last week, what the fire department did for last week, is that gonna be updated on to the iPad? And are these iPads or are they actual computers?
No, these are actual computers.
I mean, I don't care. as long as they
I
work.
mean,
How many
yes, we
want.
can set a low level, user level,
Yeah.
so that way you can't manipulate anything, you can just view. But after you log in for council, I wouldn't do anything more than that.
Is the plan to connect these to the domain, or, I see it's Windows 11 Pro.
That's the plan. That way we have access to the shared folder and all that,
Are these laptops or iPads?
laptops.
Okay.
Let's see, I'll pull it up here, I actually have that one.
It's probably touch versus, you know,
Yeah, I like mine because mine's all.
And my computer is at work, and then it's this brand.
yeah.
Oh, they're Lenovo's. That's what this is.
We got the money for all this, it is in our budget. We have no clue.
And is it cheaper to buy it through them, or is it cheaper to buy those ourselves?
We can, so if we buy it through them, it doesn't seem like it's any more expensive than if I bought it through Amazon or try to become a dealer myself, because they're a dealer for this brand. We'll have to have them come out, put us on the domains, we're gonna have to pay a service call for all these, whereas it'll already come pre-installed with all the software, the domain, all the user accounts, everything.
Is that the same thing I have here already? Mine? It looks like it's identical.
What about Office?
Like
Do we already have
Word and all
user
that.
accounts for Office? Or are we
No.
using Google Docs and spreadsheets, et cetera?
So I believe it's $189 for a perpetual license for each
For each person, the way.
machine.
For Office, you mean?
Like, I had to have CDI come out and set her up a workstation in that middle room, but she didn't have a computer, so I had to
Is that-
buy a perpetual license.
Wasn't
For
there a
that machine.
second option though, but
You can pay monthly, I think it's $20 a month, he said.
for
Right.
license?
Yeah, but after the first year, you've already paid for the perpetual, and you'll never have to pay for that one again.
What version is it? Pro, Home, Student?
He just installed it on that one, he didn't say.
I don't know, I don't use that computer. I imagine it's,
189
Probably
wouldn't
Pro.
be student. That's generally 125 plus tax, so. Are there government, well, I guess Microsoft's not gonna give us a government discount, we're not big enough. What do you know about any of that? They do any of that, government licensing? I know they do government licensing, I just don't think we're,
Yeah, for a city this size, I
Big
don't
enough,
know.
yeah.
I mean, you might look on a buy board or some other cooperative.
I mean, we can go through the buy board and try to piggyback off somebody, but whatever they buy, we buy. So if they buy $1,000 computers, then we either go with another municipality for buy board, or we get what they get.
Well, you have a choice, don't you? I mean, it's not,
Well, yeah, I mean, you can say yay or
this
nay.
isn't a bad price, I mean, it's not a bad price at all for the laptops. I was thinking more on the software licensing. So, no option for an i5 or an i7, huh? Did he just go low to high, no in between? I wouldn't mind paying maybe a little more for an i5 or i7, might be nice.
Now,
Of course, these are brand new, aren't they? So we're gonna get, well, I don't know, a lot, i3 11th gen is not stupidly slow.
No, it'll do the basics. I mean, we can do a 12 gen i9, but we're gonna pay a lot more.
We're gonna buy 4, we're gonna buy 7.
What generation were you talking?
Well, I think the newest one's 12th gen, or maybe up to 13.
Yeah,
Yeah, mine's 10 and it
think
works
so.
great.
So are we gonna buy 4 or 7?
7.
Oh, we need 7.
5, 6, okay, 6, I'm sorry.
So we can say, Dean, you're getting a laptop.
Well, it might be one.
I think he's,
We're the
I
person-
think he's talking
we'll,
about
we need
counselor.
one over there.
Let's talk
One of
about the other two
secretary.
additional council members.
Yep. We're gonna get at least 2 more council members at some point. And will the secretary over there need one? What does she use? Or whoever's sitting over there taking minutes so you don't have to.
Good point.
I would buy more of an all-in-one that just stays right there. Or a tower that's underneath. I don't think she really needs she needs a laptop, so to speak.
Just asking.
That way it's hardwired. You can't drop it, can't lose it. It sits right there.
Okay.
we got Cat 5 ports under there? Oh, nice,
You got every single connection you need up there.
sweet. Do you know if they work?
They do work.
Okay, well, that's pretty cool.
I'm myself okay buying this. I have no clue whether we're buy, which one to buy. I'll leave that up to the more experienced computer users.
I don't know, I hate to foot the bill for $700. Just to have it
Here's the
arrive.
main question. Who's actually going to use it? Besides, I know me and Misty will.
It's just 'cause I use them here.
I like paper myself, man, but if it's gonna connect to the domain, we have ports under here for the domain,
We do.
then I could see that being, I could see me using that for the shared drive, for my shared drive, my personal shared drive.
Is there any legalities to us having laptops linked into that can leave this building?
Well, you can't connect to it outside the building, not without some extra doing.
Well, like a VPN or something that gets you in there.
We don't have that, they don't give us that access, thankfully.
So
least
then they
for
would
now.
just be useful in here.
Yeah, or we can go with mini towers underneath this desk and just have it right here. We just can't take it home to
That's,
view or,
that's my point, is the way I'm doing it now, I can go back, edit my notes, I can look at them when I go home, all that. So that's the case, and I just wanna, I'll buy me a separate computer to use here and just buy another one for work.
I mean, we can have screens up here with mini towers underneath here and everything goes to the Google Drive and you just access your Google Drive at home.
It's gonna get clunky.
Mm.
Keyboard, mouse, we don't have
Touch
that.
screen.
A couple of times I've had everything delivered to my email. I will use my iPad up here, and I'm joking, that worked out great. I have a notepad to make my notes, and then I can find everything real quick. I like that.
So
Then I can take it with me, look at it, I have it, I can then save I know how to save it, where I can find that, plus I can do word search on it later on, instead of trying to go through it, all the paperwork. I'm for that, I just, like I say, I don't know which is better computer-wise. Do we spend the extra $270?
Does it have to be connected to the domain?
It's a different sign-in process though, unless, you get a cached. If you can get it, if they work, I hope they will, if they work cached logins, then we can go home. We can just use our regular login and you'll be able to access your desktop and all that. You won't have access to any shared drives or anything else on the domain server itself.
Yeah,
But if,
I just need something to take notes and get my agenda on. Because if I'm up here just until we hire people, I can work from a laptop or desktop.
So do y'all want screens up here and just paper copies of the agenda and some scratch pad?
I don't want screens up here. Where are you gonna, I mean, it's already bulky. Don't you think?
I mean, a little,
Yeah, when we start, when I get our
17-inch
other
screen
two,
right
we're
there.
gonna be really squished in here.
Yeah, but then you've got the desktop under here, I'll kick it, break something, have to buy another one,
we're talking about a mini tower that's that big.
and I'll definitely kick it and break it.
It'd be
Little bitty
mounted
Oh,
right
this thing's already a pain
underneath
in
the
ear.
screen. Or we can get all-in-ones and it'll all be in the screen about this big. I mean, there's
But then you
different
can't
ways to
take it
do
home.
this. I mean,
I'd like to have the packets and all that stuff stored for later retrieval.
it'll all be on the website. Every single binder from here on out will be searchable PDFs. So you'll be able to go to the website and find all your supporting documents outside the executive session.
One of these. All of this is gonna be there?
I purchased Adobe and makes it really easy to create a binder.
We asked for that to happen a while back, that we could go to the website and find whatever we want, like our meetings, all our notes, all our agendas.
The entire
and
thing?
what- Yeah, yeah, and have what happened there.
All right, if that's in the works, I just don't know that I would use one, frankly.
Okay, so you're not gonna use one, probably won't use one, you just want it digital.
I just,
How long
if I
before
can
you
get a
do
hold
it?
of this on my own computer, I'm tickled to death. I like to use a computer or pad, whatever you, I'd like to use a computer to find stuff, yes. I like that. I like that better than paper. I can do it both ways. They're 50-50, 49-51 maybe.
But here's the thing, if you get an OR, I mean, nobody can take his machine from him on an ORR. The OR, you tell him, you say, okay, we've got an ORR, this person wants this, and then the user just goes through, pulls that stuff out of there, and gives it to you, right? You
Until
don't
the
take the
FBI walks
machine,
in.
it can't be
Well-
confiscated or anything,
Yeah, you, ordinarily, that's the process,
ordinarily.
right? So I would say if the AG says, take it, then,
Then the guys without Wildcat
right,
pools
or,
and everything else.
or if you're in a lawsuit, and, I mean, I've been in that scenario in another city.
I want the
And
computer.
it's not a pretty sight to turn over phones and personal devices.
Okay.
So even though
Well,
I'm
let's-
just taking notes on it, then I should be doing it on a city one.
Yeah, it's just, you know, if it's, so discovery process in a civil lawsuit might include, you know, we get to see the whole device. Because then they don't know what, not us, but the, you know, plaintiff, whoever it is. Turn over the whole device, right? I have 5 kids, my wife sends me pictures all day. They'd get to see every single one of the pictures of my kids.
Yeah, I don't have anything. to
Whether
hide.
that's, and that's to determine whether or not it's public information that should be produced.
Yeah, that's a good
I
argument,
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's like one.
that's a good argument.
a computer would be, a city computer would be great. Everything we want is on it. If somebody ever wants it, we just hand it to them, be done with it. Yes, I'm all for it, Michael, good
Yeah,
idea.
me too, Michael. Thank you,
But,
Dean.
and we are gonna have, like you said, Roger, we need to buy 5 or 6.
Or, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to buy 6 of these laptops.
Which ones?
There's 2 of them.
The blazing fast ones? Or
No.
the granny ones?
The grannies are okay.
You think so, the granny ones?
I'm asking you, IT guy. You don't wanna spend
The
seven
only
hundred, then
problem's
that
gonna,
means
the only
the only
person's
other
gonna have a
option.
problem with the granny ones is gonna be, you know, because because he's gonna use a whole bunch more apps than we do at one time.
Then why don't we make an exception to do,
How about we just set a price
One.
and I'll find the best one that I can find for that price. Get
we're still
5
talking.
of them.
Yeah, hang on. So buy one for him, an administrator, who's
Yeah,
gonna
there's
need
no reason
one.
you can't have something different.
Yeah, so why don't you and the administrator, because we're gonna get one, is gonna have the 2 best computers, then the grainy ones can go to the rest of the council. And it saves money on our end, because we don't need as high as what, I'm just saying 2, because if you were to leave, or for whatever reason, you're not here, then we still need a more advanced one for whoever the mayor, mayor pro tem, city administrator, they can still go be passed to them. Is that right? So two
That's
good
reasonable.
ones, and then the rest of them grainies.
Okay, you do want me to search for outside of CDI and see if we can get a better deal, or just go with these?
I don't think this is a bad price, to be honest with you. I mean, even for the Ryzen machine, you know, it's not a bad price for, at least last time I checked, which has been a while. The only difference in this, unless he just copied and pasted this, the only difference at all is gonna be graphic card and the processor, that's it. Everything else is exactly the same.
Yeah, there's not much space to store anything, or,
No, but no, that's true. I mean, it's not gonna be a storage hog, but if all of that's gonna be on the Google Drive anyway, the city drive, are we storing that on our servers or Google servers?
Google.
Both, I guess, because, well, actually, no, it's gonna be on the website, right?
It'll be on the website and it'll be on Google Workspace for Google Drive.
So we won't, okay. So I can take it home, copy it off, put it on my machines. I'll never use all that.
So,
Maybe 50 gig for the OS and updates.
But we can have the SDS card stick in there, do 4 or 5 meetings, save that, so we don't have to use the,
Do you think that you can find better for comparable, or actually, I should say, more for this money?
Oh, wait a minute. We've got a good deal of expansion ports on the Ryzen machine, which I like. No USB ports on the Granny one.
neither of them have built-in Ethernet, so you have to use a wireless connection.
Well, that's typical. But if you don't have any USB ports or any other output, you can't pull anything off of it,
Oh, good, yeah,
which
good point,
defeats the purpose for me.
good point.
Okay, so 5 machines not exceeding how much money?
Well, these, if you're talking about now going with the Ryzen, then they're $770 each, so
Well, is that tax, title, and license too? I doubt it. Or did he?
he's got his cloud and
it's quote, so I would think that would,
No, that,
No?
yeah, but you gotta get, he didn't put a tax in there and he should've.
We're tax exempt.
and it also says setup and configuration will be billed separately at $80 per man hour. If he has to. Does he set it up, or do you, IT guy come set it up?
He has to, cause he's the only one that's gonna have admin access to the server.
So it's gonna be over and above that 770.
We're just looking at prices of computers,
That's on the quote, though.
yes.
it looks like we'd want the more expensive one, or
So-
one similar to that.
5 machines not to exceed $775.
$4,000, let's say. Not to exceed, for the total amount. This doesn't have tax or anything on it, so.
For 5 machines?
Well, there's, yeah, 700 apiece, 7 times 5 is 35 here, this is 770, I'm going for 8 just to have a little cushion. 8 times 5 is 40.
And then 2 other machines that are better processing and all that.
Well, no.
No,
But we're
because
only
that
getting
was gonna
5.
be the better one.
Well, then we need 7.
Yeah, we'll need 7, because the administrator and the city secretary will need them.
Well, now you need 8.
Will the administrator need one, or be able to use a, regular, we'll just bring his laptop in here and go from there?
Well, this will be his laptop.
Yeah,
All right, so not to exceed 5,600 then?
For a total of how many machines?
8.
8 or 7?
There's 6 of us, then the city secretary and the city
Oh.
administrator. That's
Okay,
8.
8.
The secretary's gonna have a tower, gonna have her own computer up there. Yea or nay, that's what we were doing.
It's up to us as a group.
All right,
I would just do the same as what we all have.
all right.
I mean, that's what my thought.
But we should probably make a decision.
I'm gonna make a motion to purchase 8 of the Ryzen or comparable to or better than for the amount no more than, what do we decide?
800.
800 each.
So I have a motion to purchase laptops in the amount of 8 total, not to exceed $800 apiece.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No further discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Discussion of possible action on approving an interlocal cooperation agreement with Johnson County for dispatching services for budget year 2023-2024.
Do we have any choice on this at all?
Not really.
Make a motion to approve the interlocal cooperation agreement with Johnson County, or item H in its entirety.
I have a motion to approve as presented.
Right?
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No further discussion. Scott?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item I, discussion of possible action on approving an interlocal agreement with Johnson County for housing Class C prisoners. Do you want to come talk about this? It's another thing we basically have to do because we don't house our own prisoners.
So this is, something like Michael was saying, we have really no choice. So Class C prisoners are, it's speeding warrants, anything Class C warrants, drug paraphernalia, Class C assaults, disorderly conducts. Anytime we take them to Johnson County Jail, the jail charges us for housing them. One thing I'll say that our warrants are not issued into the system, so no other agency can confirm all Class C warrants, only we can.
Do what?
So our warrants were not entered into the system, our Class Cs. Back in 2014, 2015, Chief Ely, who took those out from Johnson County, moved them over to King PD, because King at the time had their own dispatch, and in fact, the chief force at the time. King PD, about 3 or 4 years ago, disbanded their dispatch, and they went to Johnson County dispatch, using their dispatch, and now our Class C warrants are not entered into the system. So the only people that can confirm our Class C warrants is Don Peters,
When you say the system, you mean the,
TWIS.
okay, and that's like a national data or a
Yeah,
statewide database?
TCIC and CIC, anytime that's how we confirm warrants. We get pulled over, get a warrant, it confirms the TCIC or NCIC,
Okay.
so, that's it. So it shouldn't be high, and we don't think a lot of Class Cs. jail, and right now we're not doing that because we don't have a court not running. So, for our judge at the moment, he wants to kind of not worry about class E one, that's not, as of right now.
Just out of curiosity, you mind if I interrupt you for a second? What happened on that 60 grams of mushrooms?
Well, that's not class E,
That's a felony, right?
it's a felony.
Okay, that's different.
That's a Johnson County case.
Okay, got you.
So class E misdemeanor, class A, state jail felony, third degree, second degree, first degree, capital, they don't charge us.
Okay.
Because that gets filed with the county attorney's office or DA's office, so they don't charge us for that. Only for class C. Another thing is there's a loophole to this. If we arrest someone for a class B misdemeanor or higher, and they have our class E one, we can be firm on those. They're not charged for the class B, that for class C, because they're just on class B, a higher charge. So that's another little loophole. They only charge if you want to take them for a class C.
Only.
Okay.
And what are we getting charged? I'll look in here.
I think last year was $75 a day. Nobody,
And then again, we don't have much choice to do this.
we do not.
All right, so,
But we also have to pay for medical expenses here, because it says incurring medical expenses greater than $250 for any one prisoner, so we're paying to house them and their medical while they're there?
So if they have a medical issue, diabetes or anything major, or they have to have some kind of deep water fund, nurses there, if it's over $250, they can come back and charge us. So that's another thing they're dealing with. Basically, Johnson County's looking for anyone to stack on us.
Up to hospitalization, and then they have to contact us.
that's if they don't have health insurance, right?
Well, even if they take them to the hospital, they're still charge us.
Yeah, because it shows here, under cost bill to city, it also states that it is understood and agreed that if the hospitalization of a prisoner is to be for a duration of more than 24 hours, or the cost of medical care for hospitalization will or may, in the opinion of the county or county sheriff, exceed $2,000, the county has the right, after the notification of the chief of police or his designee, to arrange for the hospital or health care provided to bill the city directly for the cost of the hospitalization and or medical care, rather than any of the county paying it.
So if it does get to that, I get a phone call saying, well, class C, person in jail for this is class C, and they say, hey, we're gonna take them to the hospital, I'm gonna advise that jail to go ahead and release it. Because I don't see no reason why for us to, that $1,000 bill for a possible $200 fine.
It also says here that the ambulance transportation is not covered by the per day rate, so well, that's an additional occurrence. So we're looking at what are our other options besides this? Is this pretty much our only option?
They are our jail.
That is it, okay, well, we don't have. George,
In
you
that
don't
new
have choice.
public safety complex, we could put a jail.
We can do a city jail,
Yes, we're working on that,
and a dispatch center.
yes. Oh,
whoa, calm down.
that was not in it. I like this negotiation now.
So in section 3.2, it shows you what's excluded from the per day rate. And then we've already talked about the hospitalizations. If it's over $2,000, I mean, we have to pay for prescription drugs and treatments, medical and health care outside the county facility, surgical or dental care, and any costs associated with the hospitalization.
Is this something that we have had a contract before?
Yeah, for the past 4 or 5 years.
Do you know what our average cost per prisoner per year would be? Like, what we're actually spending to Johnson County for this?
I couldn't
Is this on a deadline to have this signed? Or is this something that we can, I mean, I guess if we have to do it, but I'm just curious on costs.
So the agreement's effective from October 1st, 2023 to September 30th, 2024.
I mean, if this is something we have to do, we have to do it, but I am interested on to see what our average yearly cost is to the sheriff's department for this. Just because if we do look long-term at a safety facility, that is something we need to understand what the cost is gonna be for the Class C misdemeanors.
Have we ever,
Do we recoup any of this money from the fines if he's in jail for 10 days and it's $700? Does our,
We don't get none of it. Actually, they don't have to spend no money. They pay the 3 meals for 7 days, and they get time served, and everyone's fine.
So it cost us for them to be
Costs
bad.
us, but no, cost the person going to jail. I mean, you guys spend 7 days in jail, I'm sure you must do that, but,
Yeah.
they get a time served, they send to us, we send to the judge approves it, they get back, they get released, they're stopped with it.
so it cost us $69.94 per day if they're taken in at 23.58, that's a day. We don't really have an option not to do it.
No, I understand that, but I'm still interested on what our costs are average, you know? So I think that's something that we should share with you, and you should know, you know, as well, so.
Have they ever used the clause for the available jail space? Like they don't have any more, come remove your prisoners?
They used that prior to COVID, they used it a lot, but it was so crowded, they were building in new additions to it. And then, after COVID, I mean, they started on the frenzy, taking it to jail, but during COVID, they opened the permanent class Cs. So, I mean, they have jail, they're available now, but there are times where, if you have class C and you're going, they'll tell you, hey, I know they don't confirm out-of-county warrants, class C out-of-counties. So, you know, Champaign, Dallas, Ellis, all that around us, they won't confirm that just because of jail availability. So there are times where they'll tell us, no, you can't accept it.
So what do you do with them?
Release them.
You know, that goes.
Just release them?
So do these people pose any threat? So let's say we just didn't do it and we just released them until their court date. Not something I recommend, but
So class C warrants are really, the only one that poses a threat is public intoxication. Because if we deal with someone with public intoxication as a class C, unless we release them to a responsible adult, we just can't say, have a good day. And go away. It's either they're, released to a responsible adult, or they're going to jail. So, there's 2 options there. And then, you're looking at class C family violence. State of Texas says you shall act. So that's a shall issue. So it's not a may, it's a shall,
And that's considered a Class C.
class C, if it's no bodily injury to it.
Right.
so I would recommend that we sign this because we're going to have to anyways, and then get those reports back to us.
Make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with Johnson County for housing Class C prisoners.
I have a motion to approve as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Thank you.
passes unanimously. Item J, discussion and possible action on the employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer, city administrator. So at this time, we'll go into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074 for discussion on the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer for items J, K, and L. That'll be at 2049.
Well, we could not take our computer in there if you would. We
Do it.
could not take our computer in there with us.
Oh, okay. Well, it means a lot, actually, more than you know. Thank you.
If don't arrest anybody, it's fast food. I appreciate it.
All right, you too.
But if-
See you in March.
Show us returning from executive session at 21:52, or reconvening into open session at 21:52. And we have item J, discussion and possible action on the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer, city administrator.
Make a motion, we postpone to table it. We're not gonna do it tonight, are we?
How does that motion, does it need to be no action?
You wanna, if you were to approve and then appoint, you could do that subject to final negotiation execution of the contract.
Do we wait till it's finalized though, before we do that, or just not?
We're gonna have to have another meeting next week, and you don't have to come, it's just budget stuff.
Next week, or is it,
Okay.
So,
Do we need to table this one, or postpone, or no action?
no action.
Will we have that meeting in executive session, though? And if we are, do we need you?
you still need to come back out and
Make an
make
action.
motions?
Okay.
So, dies for lack of a second. Nobody seconded his motion.
No, you made it first.
What?
You made a motion.
Roger did?
Make the motion.
Postpone it because we're not doing anything tonight, but what are we gonna do?
Mike's gonna make the motion because he knows what he wants to
Okay,
make.
good idea.
So let's do this, brother.
So do y'all wanna approve the hiring, or do you wanna wait till next week and we just take no action and negotiate?
Yeah.
Okay, so I make a motion for no action and to continue negotiations.
I'll second it.
I got a motion and a second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. Item K, discussion and possible action on the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer, city secretary.
I make a motion that we run that in TML and the, what were those agencies? you were talking about? Did you wanna run them in the agencies for the city secretary?
The headhunters?
Yeah.
I'll resend those to Mike and he can,
So I'll make a
Look through those.
motion, yeah. So my motion is to run the ad in TML and chosen headhunter sites for city secretary.
Okay, I got a motion. Do I have a second?
second.
Got a second. Further discussion. Are you wanting a headhunter, or are you wanting a temp service that does temps and long-term?
I don't think your temp services, well, yeah.
SGR, Texas
SGR is a temp
First.
service, yeah. So
Okay.
it's an interim service, so. Let's
'Cause-
just do government specialties firms, that deal with that. We don't want any more Walmart employees coming in here applying for the job.
And I don't want temporary.
Okay, so you want TML plus government services. You want to amend your motion to reflect that?
I'm gonna amend my motion to run it in TML and temporary agencies. But if we do it in a temporary agency, would that not mean she's temporary?
It'll be okay. We'll fix it. Mike knows what you really mean.
Okay.
Well, so you make a motion to run a ad for city secretary on TML and interim government temp agencies.
Second.
But I don't what? For what? And employment facilitators. Okay, get rid of the temp thing. So I amend my motion again.
Nicely done.
Hold on. So you made a motion to run a
Help
ad
us.
for a city secretary for TML and
And
government
employment facilitators.
facilitators. Okay, do I have a second?
I second. Oh, it was my motion.
You made the motion. I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second for the amendment. Scott?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion for the amendment passes. And that was, Scott, you did that, right?
I made the motion, he seconded it.
Okay, so now we'll vote on the amended motion for TML and government employment facilitators. Do I have a, yeah,
Aye.
Aye.
aye, motion passes unanimously. Item L, discussion and possible action on the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer, administrative assistant.
I'm making a motion to table that item until we get further information from our law firm. That's what we
We may want to postpone rather than table
will postpone.
till the next meeting, August 15th.
So the motion dies for lack of a second. I make a motion to postpone until August 15th.
Second.
I'll get the hang of this.
I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No further discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
I think we're too tired.
Okay, well, that is it.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I got a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.